Once again, you already know what it is, and you already know where you have reached the number one up-and-coming professional wrestling combat sports podcast anywhere in the world. This is Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. My name is Sean Hubbard, the founder and host of Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, and co-host, along with Conrad Cushman of Clash of the Podcast, which airs every Monday night, 6:05 Eastern Standard Time on the Everything Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. But right here, you're on the Hubbard Wrestling Weekly YouTube channel as we bring you Volume 3 of this new series that I like to call HUBBanomics, Superstar Profiles. And on this edition, after we talked about the reigning Queen of the Ring, Nia Jackson, Volume 1, the current CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment, Paul Triple H Levesque, now we are going to switch gears and we're going to talk about another champion, the reigning All Elite Wrestling World Women's Champion. Her name is Toni Storm, and we are extremely fired up to talk about Toni Storm on this edition of HUBBanomics on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. Toni Storm, again, 20 minutes or less, y'all, so we're going to keep it real brief and real informative. Toni Storm, since her debut in the world of professional wrestling, has been nothing short of extraordinary. She's a former British Empire Wrestling Women's Champion. She's a former Women's Champion in All Action Wrestling. She was ranked ESPN top 16 women's wrestlers in the world in 2023, which was last year. Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranked her number 13 in 2019 of top female wrestlers by PWI. So it's like, I mean, this woman has had continued success in the world of professional wrestling and burst onto the scene in WWE in 2018 when she won the Mae Young Classic, which at the time was a major stepping stone in the world of professional wrestling for women's superstars to put their name on the map and become megastars in the industry. So that would lead not too much later to her becoming the NXT UK Women's Champion. Toni Storm showed signs from day one of being a star. She had the look, she had the athleticism, she had the charisma. Did WWE use her in the best possible way? Maybe so, maybe not. But again, in 2017, when she was announced to be part of the Mae Young Classic and took part in the Mae Young Classic in 2018, that was the beginning of her WWE run, which would last until 2021. We all know how that run would end, that little storyline she had with Charlotte Flair, and there was a couple of situations where she had some disqualification matches and unfortunately never got over the hump as it related to getting a major women's championship in WWE. Again, she was the NXT UK champion, which is no longer a thing, and she never was the NXT champion. She never was the Raw champion, the SmackDown champion, or World Women's Champion, or WWE Women's Champion as we know it now. But we could always tell that she was a spectacular athlete and a spectacular talent, which led her to making her debut in All Elite Wrestling in 2022. She made her debut in March of 2022 on an episode of Dynamite in a qualifier match for the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Championship Tournament. And she defeated the Bunny, and it was announced that she had signed with the company thereafter. She defeated Jamie Hayter in the quarterfinals of that tournament, and then was defeated by Britt Baker in the semifinals, which was the eliminating match for her in that tournament. But it would lead to much bigger and better things as she would defeat Baker in a rematch to challenge for the AEW Women's Championship against Thunder Rosa in a title match that would take place at Forbidden Door. She defended the title after winning it against Athena, against Britt Baker, against Serena Deeb at Grand Slam and many other pay-per-views, and showed the world that she was truly one of the top women's athletes in the world today. She ended up teaming up with Saraya in a group called The Outcasts, which was kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like a NWO meets women's wrestling kind of deal that Saraya had with Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho would join the group a little bit later. Jamie Hayter was a part of the group until she got injured, unfortunately. Jamie Hayter was the women's champion as well in AEW. But there was a point in time where you really could see that, listen, Toni Storm's on the verge of superstardom. And that brings us to present day when she became timeless. And as you guys enjoy your lunch break, this is the lunchtime edition of HUBBanomics on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, right here on the Hubbard Wrestling Weekly YouTube channel on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. This young lady has changed the game, y'all. You understand me? In a world of bosses and the mans and baddest women on the planet and dentists, and I'm not knocking anyone, but for this woman to have this kind of success with this kind of gimmick, with this kind of character, a throwback to the roaring 20s, black and white screen, Butler, sidekick, and Mariah May, who, by the way, Mariah May is probably going to turn on her pretty soon, but that's neither here nor there. And killing it with successful title defenses week after week after week. She's got the look. She's got the charisma. She does these post-wrestling match interviews during the AEW media scrums that are timeless, and I mean that with pun intended. She has beat superstars like Donna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa. She's beaten Thunder Rosa in rematches for the title that Thunder Rosa never lost. She just recently successfully defended her title May 26th at Double or Nothing. And she continues to thrive in the world of professional wrestling. This woman has talent coming out of her ears. I don't care who you are. I don't care what promotion you work for. I don't care what kind of talent or resume you have in the world of professional wrestling. I'll take this version of Toni Storm against anyone. I would take this version of Toni Storm against Bayley. Oh, I said Bayley. I would take this version of Toni Storm from a sheer entertainment standpoint. I would take this Toni Storm against Liv Morgan. I would take this Toni Storm over Rhea Ripley. Yes, I said it. Rhea Ripley. Toni Storm is pure entertainment. Pure entertainment. She has gone from getting cake thrown in her face by Charlotte Flair on SmackDown to being, in my opinion, the best women's champion in all of wrestling. I'll say it again. The number one professional wrestler that's a female in the business today. That's it. Toni Storm is number one in my book in the game today. She's athletic. She's charismatic. I'm going to take you guys back when she left WWE. She said upon her departure, and I quote, "I didn't feel that appreciated. And I just felt like WWE at times didn't have very much respect for me. I feel like over time, they just crushed my love for wrestling. It just wasn't even wrestling anymore. You're not even allowed to say wrestling." Is that not poetic? Does that not totally break down the lineage and the passion and the unbridled fury that is Toni Storm? And again, when she came into AEW with the Outcast gimmick, it was cool. But for her to take this timeless Toni Storm aura and turn it into what it's become today, she's the best women's champion in the industry today. Period. Bar none. And I don't see this reign coming to an end anytime soon, if AEW knows what they're doing, because this woman is pure gold. She's good looking, not trying to categorize her any kind of way. I'm just calling a spade a spade. She's good looking. She's athletic. She's young. This young lady is 28 years of age. She's just getting started. This gimmick can go anywhere it wants to go. It could go left, right, up, down, sideways. This is pure gold, what we're seeing from Toni Storm right now. And what she's done, I'm going to get a little deep with you guys. What she's done is you heard the quote that I said that Toni Storm made on her way out the door of WWE. What Toni Storm has done is she's taken all that disappointment, that feeling of feeling that she wasn't appreciated, that feeling of belief that the word wrestling had become an ugly word and the place was taken by the term sports entertainment. This is a young girl that back when she was in her youth, back when she was wrestling for All Action Wrestling, back when she was wrestling for British Empire Wrestling, back when she was the World Wonder Ring Stardom champion, this is what made her who she is today. This is what made that young girl that was wrestling for West Side Extreme Wrestling and became a two-time WXW Women's Champion. That woman from just 7 years ago is now your AEW Women's Champion. She is now the champion of a women's division that is the second biggest wrestling company in the world. And in my opinion, she is the best women's champion in the world today. The best women's wrestler in the world today. Toni, by God, Storm. Timeless Toni Storm. Her in-ring acumen is timeless. Her promos are timeless. Her athleticism, timeless. Her passion for the business, timeless. Her continued evolution as a wrestling character, timeless. Her ability to change with the times, timeless. She has made a 1920s, 1930s character relevant in 2024. Timeless Toni Storm continues to wow me each and every week. I cannot wait when this young woman comes down the aisle or has an interview segment on Dynamite or Collision or Rampage. I love Toni Storm for what she's doing for women's wrestling. And she is exactly what women's wrestling has been needing. Now, you do have Mercedes Moné, the CEO. You do have people like Bayley, who I do respect, and Becky Lynch, and Liv Morgan, and in my opinion, the most athletic and outstanding wrestler in women's wrestling today, Bianca Belair, and a woman who's probably one of the most outstanding physical specimens in the history of pro women's wrestling, Jade Cargill. But when you take everything into consideration, and I love Bianca Belair. Nobody can tell me nothing about Bianca Belair. But when you think about the reactions that Toni Storm gets every time she enters an arena, she's made the post-pay-per-view AEW media scrums must-watch TV. Toni Storm has done that. She's prolific, and she's outstanding. And Hubbard Wrestling Weekly acknowledges her as, again, the best women's champion in the industry today. That could change, but for right now, she's the best women's champion in the industry today. And if I said earlier she's the best wrestler in the women's division, period, I misspoke. That was not what I meant. We're working without a net here, pal. So I'm not gonna say she's the best. If I said that, that was a mistake in words. I'm not saying she's the best women's wrestler in the world, but she is the best women's champion in the world right now. And she is top 10 in the world in women's wrestling overall. Don't get it twisted. I wouldn't give her the nod as the best women's wrestler, period, in the world in 2024, but she is top 10, and she is number one as it relates to people wearing championships in the women's division of any company in the world. WWE, AEW, TNA, anywhere. So with that being said, this has been Hubbard Wrestling Weekly HUBBanomics, Volume 3, Superstar Profile of the AEW Women's World Champion, Toni Storm. Make sure Monday night, 6:05 Eastern Standard Time, you are tuned in to Clash of the By God podcast on Everything Pro Wrestling YouTube channel with myself and Conrad Cushman. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday nights. Tonight, actually. Make sure you tune in to EPW's YouTube channel as they bring, they meaning Conrad and Derek, the AEW review, the best AEW review in the game at 10 p.m. every Wednesday night. Make sure you get ready for Hubbard Wrestling Weekly's Money in the Bank preview coming up in July, SummerSlam preview coming up in August, and much, much more. So, once again, this is Volume 3 of HUBBanomics presented by Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. My name is Sean Hubbard. God bless. Be encouraged. Remember, evil never prevails, and we will talk to you next time.